I want to start by showing my nail art for today, being on theme. This is a red heart yarn. I found it at an estate sale. It's a medium weight, and I will be using a 5mm hook. We're going to start this by making a chain of 3 and then 2 single crochets back down. Now we have 2 single crochets. I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and for row 2, we are going to make an increase in each stitch. That means it's 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. We will end with 4 single crochets. After every row, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. So for row 3, we are going to make an increase in the first stitch, then 2 single crochets in a row, and an increase in the last stitch. We will end with 6 single crochets. Row 4, make an increase in the first stitch, followed by 4 single crochets, and then an increase in the last stitch. We should end with 8 single crochets. For row 5, we are going to make an increase in the first stitch, 6 single crochets in a row, and then an increase in the last stitch. We should end with 10 single crochets. Row 6 will have an increase in the first stitch, followed by 8 single crochets, and then the last increase in the last stitch of our row. By now, you should see the pattern that we're using, where we are increasing the ends of our row. You are going to continue this pattern of only increasing on the ends of our rows up until row 20. At the end of row 20, you should end with 38 stitches. So go ahead and work this, and I will see you at row 20. Now that we're at row 20, this is what our piece will look like. It's looking like a triangle, and my top section here should have 38 stitches. Rows 21 to 30, we are going to make a single crochet in each stitch. I chained 1, turned my work, and will just single crochet in each stitch all the way down. Once I'm done with that row, I will again chain 1, turn my work, and begin the next row. I'll meet you back when we've completed row 30. We should still have 38 stitches by the end of row 30. Now that we're done with row 30, this is what our piece will look like. We should have a total of 38 stitches on our top row. What we're going to do now is split this in 2. You're going to start by counting 18 stitches, mark the 19th and the 20th stitch. This should give us 18 stitches on either side of the marked stitches. Row 31, we are going to single crochet 18 times, slip stitch on the 19th and the 20th stitch, and then single crochet the other 18. We should end with 38 stitches. I don't typically like using these stitch markers because they get in the way. That's why I prefer another colored yarn, but this is what I had at the moment, so I didn't get to use my yarn. But this is where we're doing our slip stitches. Once I'm done with those two, I'm going to single crochet the rest of that row. I'm going to chain one and turn my work, but before I continue, I'm going to mark those two slip stitches because this is going to be the center of our heart, and it's important to mark these for the humps that we're going to make in just a bit. And because it is tricky sometimes, I always count to make sure that I have 18 stitches on either side of the stitches I marked. And since I'm good with the 18, I turn my work and start on the first hump. So for the humps, we're going to start row 1 all over again. For row 1, we are going to make a decrease of the first 2 stitches, single crochet down, and then make a decrease on the last 2 stitches before the slip stitch. Here I am on the last 2 stitches before my marked stitch, and I am going to make a decrease on these 2. Teddy says hello. We're going to chain 1, turn our work, and start on row 2, which will consist of single crocheting the entire row. We should end with 16 single crochets. Row 3, we are going to make a decrease on the first 2 stitches, make 12 single crochets, and then a decrease on the last 2 stitches. We should end with 14 single crochets. On row 4, we are going to make a single crochet in each stitch, ending with 14 single crochets. For row 5, decrease the first 2 stitches, followed by 10 single crochets, and decrease the last 2 stitches. We should end with 12 single crochets. Row 6, single crochet in each stitch. We should end with 12 single crochets. Row 7, decrease in the first 2 stitches, 8 single crochets, and then a decrease in the last 2 stitches. We should end with 10 single crochets. On row 8, we are going to make a 3 single crochet decrease. So you're going to pull through 1 single crochet, pull some more yarn through the second, and now a third one. So you're going to have 4 loops grab some more yarn and pull through all of those loops. Then you're going to make 4 single crochets and again a 3 single crochet decrease in the last 3 stitches. We should end with 6 single crochets. On row 9, we are going to make 3 decreases. So make a decrease on the first 2 stitches, then on the second pair of stitches, and on the last 2 stitches. We should end with 3 single crochets. Once we're done with this last stitch, we can go ahead and cut this section off and fasten this little section. This is what it's looking like so far. It's starting to look like a heart, right? All we need now is to repeat this exact same pattern on the other side to make our second hump. So to attach your yarn, you have to make sure that you're on the right side to have the same stitch pattern as you worked on the other side. As you see here, if I work this row, I need to make sure that it looks like the stitch that I'm marking right here, that it has the little V's instead of the back side of my stitches. I hope that you were able to see that because I know it's a little bit difficult to explain. But this is the right side that I'm going to be working on. I attached my yarn on the stitch next to the marked stitch and I make my first decrease, do the single crochets as I did for row 1, and the decrease on the last 2 stitches. For row 1, I should end with 16 stitches. So you're going to repeat the exact same pattern that we did on the other side. I'll meet you once you're done with row 9 and we'll work on our border. Our piece is looking more like a heart already. Now we just need a border around it. This will consist of single crochets around the entire heart, but with a few little extras. I start by chaining 1, turning my work, and begin single crocheting around my first hump. If you still have your 2 marked stitches, this will be very useful because you will need to make a decrease in these 2 stitches. By making a decrease, you're making the center of the heart a little bit rounder and smoother than it currently is. Once I'm done with the decrease in the center, I continue my single crochets around until I get to the other edge of my hump. I'll show you what I mean in a sec. Once I'm at the top of row 9 from the other hump, I'm going to make 2 single crochets in that same stitch. So I'm going to make an increase in those corners. Then I will single crochet all the way down up until I get to the very bottom of the heart. So I'll meet you at the bottom of the heart. Alright, so now we're at the very bottom. We have 2 stitches here. We are going to make increases in each of the stitches. So 2 stitches in the first, and then 2 stitches in the next. Again, this is just to make it a little more rounder. Now we're going to single crochet all the way up and make a single crochet in the same stitch we started. You'll see that in just a few seconds. So this is the stitch where I started. I'm going to make another single crochet in the same stitch and attach it to the first stitch, closing this off and cutting the tail. Now that we have this red heart, we can start working on our white ruffle border. To make the white ruffle border, I use this white yarn with a little bit of like glitter in it. Although this yarn is thinner than the red yarn we use for our heart, I will continue using the 5mm hook. I start the white ruffles from the point of the heart. I did this in the back loop only because I wanted a line of the red border sticking out. You don't have to do this, you could do it through both, but that was just what I did here. So I make a slip stitch to add my yarn. I skip 1 stitch. In the next stitch, I make 5 double crochets. So you can see that here, I'm going to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to skip 1 stitch, and then I am going to slip stitch in the next. This is the pattern you are going to follow. So you're going to skip the next stitch, make 5 double crochets in the following, skip a stitch, slip stitch, skip a stitch, 5 double crochets, skip, slip, skip, 5 double crochets. That's the pattern you're going to make all around your heart. Here I'm getting to the center of our heart at the top, and again I am just following this exact same pattern where I skip 1 stitch and then make the 5 double crochets in the next. You're just going to keep doing this all the way around. For my strap, I made a chain of 6 and made 5 single crochets back. And I did the chain 1, turn, 5 single crochets, chain 1, turn, 5 single crochets. I did a total of 177 rows. The strap is totally up to you. You can make it however you like, and you can make the strap a different type of strap. I made mine a little bit thicker, but you can also make it super thin. I've seen some that are like a rope strap. I just know that takes a really long time, and I thought that I wanted to put this out sooner. Maybe I'll change it eventually. But again, the strap is totally up to you. Like I mentioned, I just made 177 rows of 5 single crochets. Once I finish my 177 rows, I create a border of single crochets all the way around my entire strap, and I put 3 single crochets in each corner. I'm going to finish off this last corner with the 3 single crochets and fasten this off. Now it's time to assemble our pieces. I grabbed both of my hearts and my strap. I marked both inside sections of my hearts with a few stitch markers, and I know that this is the inside because the outside should have the little red border that I created by making the white ruffle in the back loop only. These stitch markers are going to help me place the strap where I want it. The strap is going to line up with these stitch markers, so that's going to be what's holding the bag in place, and then the humps above will be open. That's how I'm going to be able to get in and out of my bag. I grab my strap and I flip it to the right side out, and I begin lining this up with one of the hearts and just start sewing this by hand. I try to make this as even as possible by stitching 1 single crochet into the next one. It was a bit difficult, I'm not gonna lie, but I just did this all the way around. Then I did the exact same thing with the next heart on top, and I sewed the 2 ends together to make the strap at the top. Once we're done with all of this, I can show you the reveal. Here is our final bag. As you can see, it opens from the top, and I didn't put any zippers or buttons, but you could put some buttons at the very top humps to close it off. I am able to put my wallet and my phone in this bag. I couldn't show you my phone because I'm filming with it. But please let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this video and what color you're thinking of making this little bag. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure to give it a like and consider subscribing to see more videos like this one. If you do make this bag, please make sure to share it with me on Instagram or on TikTok. I always love seeing your makes. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.